The cell, from Latin cella, meaning small room, is the basic structural, functional, and biological unit of all known living organisms. A cell is the smallest unit of life. Cells are often called the building blocks of life. The study of cells is called cell biology. The cell was discovered by Robert Hooke in 1665, who named the biological units for their resemblance to cells inhabited by Christian monks in a monastery. Cell theory, first developed in 1839 by Matthias Jakob Schleiden and Theodor Schwann, states that 1. All organisms are made up of one or more cells and the products of those cells. 2. All cells carry out life activities, require energy, grow, have a limited size. 3. New cells arise only from other living cells by the process of cell division. Plant cells are the basic unit of life in organisms of the kingdom Plantae. They are eukaryotic cells, which have a true nucleus along with specialized structures called organelles that carry out different functions. Animals, fungi, and protists also have eukaryotic cells, while bacteria and archaea have simpler prokaryotic cells. Plant cells are differentiated from the cells of other organisms by their cell walls, pastids, chloroplasts and chromoplasts, cell-to-cell communication by plasmodesmata and central vacuole. The brief description of the plant cell and various organelles and their functions are as follows. Cell wall. Cell wall is a non-living component of the cell and is secreted and maintained by the living portion of the cell, called protoplasm. A typical cell wall is composed of 3 different regions. 1. Middle lamella. 2. Primary cell wall, 1-3 micrometers thick and elastic, 0.3. Secondary cell wall, 5 to 10 micrometers thick and rigid. Functions of cell wall. 1. It protects the inner contents of the cell. 2. It gives definite shape to the cell. 3. It provides mechanical support to the tissues and acts as a skeletal framework of plants. 4. It helps in transport of substances between 2 cells. 5. The cell wall is hydrophilic in nature and it imbibes water and helps in the movement of water and solutes towards protoplasm. It also acts as a permeable structure during absorption of minerals and solutes. Protoplasm. It is the living, colloidal and semi-fluid substance. It is also called a cytoplasm. Cell devoid of cell wall is called protoplast. Protoplast is enclosed by a membrane called a cell membrane or plasma membrane. Cell membrane. All cells are enclosed by a thin membrane called plasma membrane or plasmalemma. The plasma membrane and subcellular membrane are collectively called biological membrane. Cell membrane consists of proteins, lipids and other substances. 1. Proteins. The proteins present in the membranes can be categorized into 2 types. A. Intrinsic proteins or integral proteins, which are embedded or buried in the lipid layer. These proteins associate with hydrophobic interactions to the tails or fatty acid chains of the lipid layer. In addition to the hydrophobic associations, integral proteins also possess hydrophilic amino acid residues which are exposed at the surface of the membrane. These proteins cannot be removed easily. B. Extrinsic proteins or peripheral proteins. They are attached to the membrane surface by weak ionic interactions. These proteins are not much involved in the architecture of membrane. Peripheral proteins are bound to hydrophilic proteins of the integral proteins protruding from the lipid layer. 2. Lipids. The cell membrane consists of phospholipids and glycolipids. The fatty acid chains in phospholipids and glycolipids usually contain 16 to 20 even-numbered carbon atoms. Fatty acids may be saturated or unsaturated. 3. Other substances like polysaccharide, salicylic acid etc. are found attached to the proteins or lipids on the membrane. Functions of cell membrane. 1. The cell membrane surrounds the protoplasm of the cell, thus separating the intracellular components from the extracellular environment. 2. It anchors the cytoskeleton to provide shape to the cell, and in attachment to the extracellular matrix. 3. The plasma membrane is differentially permeable and able to regulate the transport across the membrane. 4. The cell membranes maintain the cell potential. Cell nucleus. It is oval or spherical in shape and is generally larger in active cells than in resting cells. A nucleus consists of three main parts, viz. Nuclear envelope, nucleolus and chromatin. The nucleus is separated from the cytoplasm by a double membrane called the nuclear envelope. The space between the outer and inner membrane is known as nuclear pores, which provide direct connection between nucleus and cytoplasm. Nucleolus is a spherical, colloidal body found in the nucleus and is the place where almost all DNA replication and RNA synthesis occur. Chromatin is the basic unit of chromosome and contains genes which play an important role in the inheritance of characters to offspring from parents. Functions of cell nucleus. 1. It regulates growth and reproduction of cells. 2. The nuclear envelope allows the nucleus to control its contents, and separate them from the rest of the cytoplasm where necessary. 3. The DNA replication, transcription and post-transcriptional modification occur in the nucleus.